Welcome to episode 18 of R2P Origins. This particular episode, we're going to be talking a little bit of a deep dive of things that I have spoken about before with regards to community-facing business, market relationships, and overall just having a brand and a profession that is connected to the community. If we really tie this in with a huge part of a PT's beginnings of their career, which is the educational process, we start to look at what we'll call the path to the profession, right, or the pipeline, so to speak. And I think all of us had particular moments in which we were exposed to the profession, and we were exposed not through something that we were directly in control of, but through injuries. And obviously that's not everybody, but it's a lot of people, including myself, including Zach Baker, and so many other people on our team. But appreciating that there could be opportunities to expose people to the profession at earlier and earlier ages. How can we make sure that people know that this is an amazing profession? There's a ton of upside with regards to just the growth in terms of the demand and the need of the profession in the future. But this is where we start to really focus on building out the internship program that we currently have in place. And when we first started, it was solely focused on the DPT internship. Dr. Anthony Anarino was actually our first intern at Rehab to Perform from the University of Dayton. And we knew that we could offer an environment that, and it's not to discredit any of the experiences. I know Zach had a lot more positive experiences with his internships than I did. Some of that I was in control of, so I'll definitely admit that. But wanting to make a DPT internship as much of a priority in terms of all of the things that we're putting in it from a systems and processes standpoint, and something that was tremendously valuable, something that we could monitor, something that we could manage, something we could keep improving. And it would kind of run parallel, knowing that if we're putting time into that DPT internship, that we're also going to be putting time into elevating clinical practice, because we wanted to make sure that we were current, we were up to date. But initially, as I mentioned, we just focused on the DPT internship, and we recognized that there was more and more touch points and opportunities to expose people at younger ages. So reaching out to certain colleges. Zach was very familiar with Salisbury, having a really good kinesiology, exercise science program there. It having people take their CS before even graduating, and then having other colleges, not just in the state of Maryland, but in this mid-Atlantic region, being places in which we reached out to, and ideally we started to get college interns who were interested in the field, or to be quite honest, just interested in healthcare in general, because we have had some college interns go on to a wide variety of different professions in the healthcare industry. And then also taking it a step further, how can we get exposure to PT at younger ages? In Frederick County, they had sports medicine classes in the curriculum. So we started to reach out to those sports medicine classes. We would do guest speaking. Some of the schools actually still to this day will come to our office and go through a kind of a presentation and see what a day in the life of a PT is like. And at this point, with some of the various things that have been coming to light, and if we have a transparent conversation about efforts surrounding DE&I, right, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we had done things that were intentional with respect to that, but given all the different events and circumstances that have presented themselves in the past year, trying to get more to a position where we're taking that from being intentional to that culture of inclusion, and ideally finding ways to make sure that not just the high school, but maybe even at younger ages, where there are touch points in middle school where people at not just the most affluent schools in the area, but some of the schools that do have students from more challenging circumstances and definitely different backgrounds with regards to race and ethnicity, especially given the numbers in the PT field, right? A lot of people look like me in the PT world. So potentially providing touch points to people at younger and younger ages to show them, hey, healthcare could be something for you, and in particular, this is what PT looks like. But the more that we get them into that ecosystem at younger ages, provide them with resources, provide them with education on ways to make it work, and ideally, you create different opportunities for people that maybe didn't think that they had those opportunities. And this is especially important if we look at outcomes in healthcare. Outcomes in healthcare are challenging for people that are minorities. And some of that can be tied into the ability to find a healthcare practitioner that looks like them. There's a certain trust factor there. And if we can do things at younger ages to change the representation of not just the PT field, but potentially just healthcare in general, we feel like that's a win-win. So that pipeline, that path to the profession doesn't necessarily have to be just for PT, but we feel strongly about just kind of getting into the community, locking arms with, say, your middle school guidance counselors, your high school guidance counselors, a health professions teacher, sports medicine teacher, and that carries itself all the way up. And we feel fortunate at some point where we have people who intern with us in high school that are now in PT school, people that spent time with us getting hours for college are now on our team. And this is something we will only continue to elevate and increase our level of focus on, especially as we just added a sports residency program and have aspirations of eventually running an orthopedic residency as well. So it kind of comes full circle. Obviously, that's the most specialized for people that are all in on it. But how do we cast this big net first and almost have this pyramid type effect, and ideally do two big things? You continue to elevate best practice, right? So if we're going to complain sometimes about the limitations of formal education, well, we're going to jump in. We're going to be part of that conversation. We're not just going to sit on the sideline and poke at it. And then with regards to representation, providing opportunities for people that maybe might not normally be in a position where they feel like they can get into healthcare and be somebody in the healthcare industry because they see so many people that don't look like them in healthcare. So hopefully you enjoyed just kind of the thought process behind our internship, our path to the profession, aka the pipeline. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But I appreciate you joining me for episode 18. Stay tuned. Once again, 31 days, 31 different videos of a behind the scenes look at Rehab to Perform.